Brantley Moody beat out 4 Republicans to become the nominee for Charleston County Council District 7 in West Ashley. In this special edition of Quintin's Close-Ups, I speak exclusively with him one-on-one. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you very much, Quintin. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. As we sit here right now in your home in West Ashley, I'm actually thinking this. What is it like to be Brantley Moody 6 days later after a huge win?
Well, frankly, very relieved. We worked hard. We started back in January. We announced in January and in February. Started raising money in February. So we've knocked on a lot of doors. We've talked to a lot of friends, and we put in a lot of work. And we really were aiming for 50% plus one to avoid a runoff, which is very tough in a four-person race.
Right.
So to get 62%, we were very humbled and relieved. So it's funny. Everybody's asked, "What have you been doing the last couple of days?" And I said, "Not campaigning." So it's been fun to get back to family. It's been fun to actually get back to work that really pays.
Yes.
So that's what we've been doing the last week.
And you told me that your kids are out swimming and one of them sleeping, and
they're all over the place. So we've got one just got back in town from a weekend swim meet. Wow. So he's tuckered. The other 2 are at the pool. My wife just went, and then we've got camps and vacation Bible school and everything else going on this week. So they're going like this at all times.
Wow. Let me take you back down memory lane Tuesday.
Okay.
You sent the following letter to your supporters. Quote, "I want to express my heartfelt thanks to the voters for helping me win the Republican primary for the District 7 seat on Charleston County Council. I'm honored and humbled that you have placed your trust in me. The support I felt on primary day was incredible, and I owe it to you." Question, what do the people of District 7 tell you?
That's a great question, and that letter was really right on, because as I go around, the reception that we got, whether I had friends or family knocking on doors, was just people were excited, because I'm just a normal business guy.
Right.
I don't have an agenda other than the improvement of West Ashley.
Right.
I'm open to all ideas. That whatever works, I'm open to it. I'm not the smartest guy, but I've got 2 ears and 1 mouth, so I listen twice as much as I talk. But people were just excited that a regular guy who had never run for office with no agenda other than the improvement of West Ashley was putting himself out for public service.
Giving thanks. You said this too, quote, "I'm also thankful for all the other candidates who offered to serve our community. It is not easy to put oneself out there in such a public forum, so I give credit to those with initiative to do so." Let me ask you the obvious. How will you work with the former candidates as far as moving forward towards the general election?
Well, we all had very different ideas. For instance, Paul Gangarosa, I had never met him before this primary started, but he's from Atlanta, and he has some interesting ideas. John Steinberger also has been around West Ashley a very long time. He and I disagree on a lot of things, but I never questioned his passion for West Ashley, which is what you need. And it's trying for people, for their families, for their careers, to spend that time out knocking on doors and asking people for their vote, for their support, and for their ideas.
Right.
So anybody that does that, regardless of how you feel about them or their ideas, I think deserves credit.
Speaking of which, the general election. You said the following quote, "The general election is in November, and I will continue to meet with small business owners and citizens throughout West Ashley to not only share my vision, but more importantly, listen to the issues that are significant to the people of West Ashley." So when you share your vision with the small business owners and the citizens, what are you actually hearing from them?
A lot of the same. West Ashley's tired. It's the heartbeat of Charleston. Okay, first and foremost, it's the heartbeat of Charleston. It's where the bulk of the population is. It was suburbia back in the day, but it's tired and it's overcrowded, and people are they're frustrated. So that's the message I hear from people is how are we going to get our home back nice and shiny? If you look at Mount Pleasant, they've got nice new everything. Even North Charleston is starting to get their share of the pie, and West Ashley just continues to age and age and age. If you ride down Sam Rittenberg Boulevard, the storefronts are tired. Citadel Mall needs redevelopment. Those are the things that everybody is talking about. So my vision, I think, aligns with what most people in West Ashley are talking about and feel.
Describe to me the following one word, the West Ashley bike lane test.
Idiocy.
Yeah. 526.
Frustrating.
Go ahead. Please.
Well, let me expand on that.
Sure.
I was talking with somebody at one of our last forums, and as a child, probably in the late 70s, me and my friends and I rode our bicycles on the dirt path that is now the overpass of Highway 61 up to the Ashley River.
Right.
late 1970s. It's borderline criminal that road has not been completed. Could you imagine the uproar if the Mount Pleasant side of 526 was not completed, or even North Charleston? Why should we settle for anything less? It's a travesty.
Talk to me about Mount Doo-Wop, actually.
It's an exciting concept, and frankly, in recent memory, one of the only times I can really remember the city and the county really working closely together, which is what I think I can bring on a consistent basis. But I think the idea is to sort of bring that Avondale concept down to the Doo-Wop area. You see how excited that area is down there. I mean, I know there's parking issues in the Avondale area, but I think you kind of use that as a blueprint and bring it down to Wapu Road and DuPont, and then continue on further to the Citadel Mall. So it's just exciting. You know, you see all the restaurants, the young people moving in down in Avondale, all the small businesses that move in there. That's the exciting thing. I hope we can replicate it.
Let's turn to emotions. As you know, Mother Emanuel happened 1 year ago. 9 people of God were murdered by an evil guy. We all are still honoring those people for the next 12 days and even forever. Where are you emotionally 1 year later?
It still just tugs at your heartstring. The thing, I tell you, the Chris Singleton thing, it almost puts a lump in your throat, because that kid's half my age, and he's probably twice as strong as I could ever be. To have that kind of forgiveness in your heart is just amazing. But you know, not only the Mother Emanuel, we also have the Charleston 9 right now. And while annual remembrances are wonderful things to have, we can't lose sight of the fact that those people, we got to think about them daily, but we also can't lose sight of the fact that there's real evil in the world, and it's sad. And you know, how do you touch the hearts of somebody like that? It's just a tough question to answer.
Obviously,
stumped you there.
Well, yeah, that too. But you've had your own personal tragedy. As you know, your brother Brantley Moody passed away, I believe, from brain cancer. I knew him from my days going to the Charleston County School Board meeting, and he was one of the most passionate people out there as far as education and serving the public. When you think of him, what goes to your mind?
How much I miss him. This is obviously the first Father's Day for his boys, Will and Benjamin. And so I was glad they spent the weekend with Mary Beth, my sister-in-law. So they kind of got away and had a nice fun weekend together. But I miss him. And interestingly enough, Brian is where my run for county council started, because you may not know that in 2012 he had gotten on the docket to run against the current council person, and he was one of the hundreds statewide that were thrown off the ballot for filing incorrectly or whatever. As it turns out, it probably was a blessing because he would not have been able to finish his term. But when he got sick, that's kind of where this run for county council started in my head. And he and I talked about it at length, and he really, really loved local politics. And so when I mentioned that to him, he got so excited. And even in his last days, when we would talk about what I'd met with this group and spoken to these folks, when I would tell him about what I was doing, he would get very energized, even towards the end. So I just miss him.
Yeah,
just miss him.
And I was just sitting here thinking, your win for West Ashley may have been coming from him. He's your angel.
It could have been. He was undefeated. And the interesting thing about Brian is that he, and I think my dad shares that, and I hope I do too, is that people, on either side of the spectrum know that we listen to good ideas. Okay, just because I align with Republicans and I'm very much conservative. If somebody has a good idea over here, let's hear it. Okay, but let's don't waste each other's time. Okay, so that was the thing with Brian is I think a lot of people over here thought he was doing it. The conservatives thought he was too liberal. The liberals thought he was way too conservative. So he always told me, he said, maybe that means I'm doing it right. But that was him. But I'm much more conservative than him. He was a great listener and a great speaker.
If he were alive today, what would he say about Brantley Moody?
I think he would be very proud. Not for this county council run, but for the family I have, the career that I've developed. I think he would be very proud.
That is awesome. Well, Brantley Moody, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Quintin.
Thank you.
Enjoyed it.
Yes, sir.